Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'll explain the top 50 most frequently asked Spring Boot interview questions and answers with detailed explanations and real-life examples. These questions are extremely useful for Java developers, Spring Boot beginners, and experienced professionals preparing for interviews. So please watch till the end, and let's get started. Question No. 1. What is Spring Boot? Answer. Spring Boot is a Java-based framework that simplifies the development of Spring applications. In traditional Spring, developers have to write a lot of configuration code, manage XML files, set up servers, and manually define beans. This makes development slow and complex. Spring Boot solves these problems by providing auto-configuration, starter dependencies, and embedded servers. It follows the principle of convention over configuration, which means sensible defaults are already provided. This allows developers to focus mainly on business logic instead of setup work. Real-life example. Well, imagine you want to open a small office. Using traditional Spring is like renting an empty space and then arranging electricity, internet, furniture, and security all by yourself. Spring Boot is like renting a fully furnished office where electricity, Wi-Fi, chairs, and security are already available. You just walk in, open your laptop, and start working. Question No. 2. Why do we use Spring Boot instead of Spring Framework? Answer. We use Spring Boot instead of the traditional Spring Framework because it reduces development time and complexity. Well, in Spring Framework, developers must configure many things manually, such as dependency versions, XML configurations, and server setup. Spring Boot provides auto-configuration, embedded servers, and starter dependencies, which removes repetitive boilerplate code and makes application development faster and more efficient. It is especially useful for building microservices. Real-life example. Using Spring Framework is like cooking a dish completely from scratch, buying vegetables, cutting them, measuring spices, and cooking everything step by step. Using Spring Boot is like ordering a ready-to-cook food kit where all ingredients are already prepared and measured. You just cook and serve. Question No. 3. What are Spring Boot starters? Answer. Spring Boot starters are predefined dependency groups that include all the libraries needed for a specific functionality. Instead of adding many individual dependencies, we add just one starter dependency. For example, Spring Boot Starter Web provides everything required to build a web or REST application, including server and JSON support. Real-life example. When you buy a smartphone, it comes with a battery, camera, speakers, and basic apps already installed. You don't buy each part separately. Spring Boot starters work the same way. They provide everything you need in one package. Question No. 4. What is auto-configuration in Spring Boot? Answer. Auto-configuration allows Spring Boot to automatically configure beans based on the dependencies available in the class path. Spring Boot checks which libraries are present and then decides how to configure the application. For example, if a database driver is detected, Spring Boot automatically configures the database connection. Real-life example. When you insert a SIM card into your phone, the phone automatically configures network settings without asking you to enter technical details. Spring Boot behaves similarly by setting up configurations automatically. Question No. 5. What is a Spring Boot application? Answer. Well, a Spring Boot application is the main annotation used to start a Spring Boot application. It combines three important annotations: at configuration, at enable auto configuration, and at component scan. This single annotation tells Spring Boot to scan components, configure beans, and start the application. Real-life example. Think of a master power switch in a house. When you turn it on, lights, fans, and appliances all start working together. At Spring Boot application works in the same way. Question 06. What is an embedded server in Spring Boot? Answer. An embedded server means the server is already included inside the Spring Boot application. Spring Boot provides embedded servers like Tomcat, Jetty, and Undertow. This allows us to run the application as a simple Java jar file without installing or configuring any external server. Real-life example. It's like a portable Bluetooth speaker that has its own battery. You don't need to connect it to an external power source to use it. Question 07. What is application properties or application, YAML? Answer. These files are used to store configuration values such as server port, database URL, username, password, logging level, and environment-specific settings. Keeping configuration separate from code makes the application easier to maintain and update. Real-life example. It is similar to the Settings app on your mobile phone, where you can change brightness, Wi-Fi, or volume without changing the phone itself. Question 08. What is at-rest controller? Answer. At-rest controller is used to create RESTful web services in Spring Boot. And the UART servicing D. It combines at controller and at response body, meaning the response is returned directly as data, usually in JSON format. This annotation is commonly used when building APIs and microservices. Real-life example. An ATM processes your request and directly gives cash instead of showing multiple pages or forms. Question 09. Difference between at-controller and at-rest controller. Answer. At-controller is used when the application returns UI pages like HTML or JSP files. JSP files. At-rest controller is used when the application returns data such as JSON or XML. Real-life example. A movie theater displays visuals on a big screen. A streaming app sends video data directly to your phone. Question 10. What is dependency injection? Answer. Dependency injection is a design principle where the Spring framework creates and injects required objects automatically instead of developers creating them manually using the new keyword. This improves code flexibility, makes testing easier, and reduces tight coupling between classes. 1. Real-life example. In an office building, you don't arrange water supply or electricity yourself. The building management provides these services automatically whenever you need them. Question 11. What is at auto-wired? Answer. At auto-wired is an annotation used by Spring to automatically inject dependencies into a class. Instead of manually creating objects using the new keyword, Spring creates the required object and injects it wherever needed. Spring decides which object to inject based on type, name, or qualifiers. This helps in reducing tight coupling between classes and makes the code easier to maintain and test. Real-life example. Think of a TV remote. You don't manually connect wires to the TV every time. When you press a button, the remote automatically connects and controls the TV guide. At AutoWired works the same way. It automatically connects required objects behind the scenes. Question 012. What are beans in Spring Boot? Answer. Beans are objects that are created, managed, and destroyed by the Spring container. Any class annotated with @component, @service, @repository, or @controller becomes a Spring bean. Spring controls the entire life cycle of these objects, including creation, dependency injection, and destruction. Real-life example. Employees in a company are hired, assigned roles, and managed by the HR department. Similarly, Spring manages beans throughout their life cycle. Question 013. What is Spring Boot Actuator? Answer. Spring Boot Actuator provides production-ready features that help monitor and manage applications. It exposes endpoints such as health, metrics, info, and env to check application status. This is very useful in real-world applications for monitoring system health and performance. Real-life example. Think of a car dashboard that shows fuel level, engine temperature, and speed. Without these indicators, you wouldn't know if something is wrong. Actuator provides similar insights for applications. Question No. 14. What is @component scan? Answer. @component scan tells Spring where to look for components, services, controllers, and repositories. Spring scans the specified packages and registers classes as beans automatically. By default, Spring Boot scans the package where the main class is present and its sub-packages. Real-life example. Well, it's like a security check at an airport where all passengers are scanned before entry. Only those identified are allowed inside. Question No. 15. What is @service annotation? Answer. @service is used to mark classes that contain business logic. It sits between the controller and repository layers and helps keep code clean and structured. Using @service also helps Spring apply additional features like transaction management. Real-life example. In a restaurant, the waiter takes the order and the chef prepares the food. The chef is responsible for the main logic, just like the service layer. Question No. 16. What is @repository annotation? Answer. @repository is used for data access layer classes that interact with databases. It handles CRUD operations and also converts database-related exceptions into Spring exceptions. This makes error handling more consistent. Real-life example. A bank clerk manages account records and transactions. If something goes wrong, the clerk reports it in a standard format. Question No. 17. What is Spring Boot DevTools? Answer. Spring Boot DevTools improves developer productivity by enabling automatic application restarts and live reload whenever code changes. It reduces the need to manually stop and restart the server during development. Real-life example. It's like Google Docs, auto-saving your work while typing. You don't need to click save every time. Question No. 18. What is @request mapping? Answer. @request mapping is used to map HTTP requests to specific controller methods. It defines the URL path, HTTP method, and request parameters. This annotation acts as a bridge between incoming requests and application logic. Real-life example. A house address directs visitors to the correct home. Without an address, no one knows where to go. Question No. 19. Difference between @get mapping and @post mapping? Answer. @get mapping is used to fetch data from the server and does not modify data. @post mapping is used to send data to the server and usually creates or updates records. Using the correct method improves security and follows REST principles. Real-life example. Reading a notice board is like get. Submitting a form with personal details is like post. Question No. 20. What is @path variable? Answer. @path variable is used to extract dynamic values from the URL path. It helps pass data through the URL in RESTful services. For example, users 101, where 101 is a path variable. Real-life example. A train ticket contains a train number. Based on that number, the system identifies the correct train. Question No. 21. What is @request param? Answer. @request param is used to extract query parameters from the URL in a Spring Boot application. It is commonly used when the request includes optional or additional data, such as filters, sorting options, or pagination values. For example, a URL like products, category mobile, and price of 20,000 contains query parameters. Using @request_param helps keep URLs clean and flexible without changing the API structure. Counterparts. Real-life example. When you shop online, you apply filters like price range, brand, or color. These filters do not change the product page itself, but they adjust the results you see. @request_param works in the same way. It fine-tunes the request without changing the main path. Question No. 22. What is Spring Boot JPA? Answer. Spring Boot JPA simplifies database interactions by using Object Relational Mapping, or ORM. Instead of writing complex EQL queries, developers work with Java objects, and JPA automatically converts them into database operations. Spring Boot JPA reduces boilerplate code and improves productivity. Real-life example. Imagine talking to someone in your own language, and a translator converts it to another language automatically. You focus on communication, not translation. Spring Boot JPA acts as that translator between Java code and the database. Question No. 23. Difference between JPA and Hibernate? Answer. JPA is a specification that defines rules and standards for ORM. Hibernate is one of the implementations of JPA. JPA tells what should be done, while Hibernate tells how it is done. Real-life example. Traffic rules define how vehicles should behave on roads. All different vehicles like cars and bikes follow the same rules, but are built differently. Similarly, JPA defines rules, and Hibernate follows them. Question No. 24. What is @entity? Answer. @entity is used to map a Java class to a database table. Each object of the entity represents a row in the table. Spring Boot uses this annotation to understand how data should be stored in the database. Real-life example. Think of an Excel sheet where each row represents a person and each column represents details like name and age. @entity is like defining the structure of that Excel sheet. Question No. 25. What is @ID? Answer. @ID is used to define the primary key of an entity. The primary key uniquely identifies each record in the database. Without a primary key, it becomes difficult to update or delete records correctly. Real-life example. An Aadhaar number uniquely identifies a citizen. Even if two people have the same name, Aadhaar differentiates them. Question No. 26. What is @generated value? Answer. @generated value is used to automatically generate values for the primary key. It ensures that each record gets a unique ID without manual intervention. Different strategies like auto or identity can be used. Real-life example. Invoice numbers are generated automatically by billing systems. No two invoices have the same number. Question No. 27. What is pagination in Spring Boot? Answer. Pagination is used to divide large datasets into smaller pages to improve performance and user experience. Instead of loading all records at once, data is fetched page by page. This is especially important when working with large databases. Real-life example. A book is divided into pages so you can read it comfortably. Reading everything on one long page would be difficult. Question No. 28. What is exception handling in Spring Boot? Answer. Exception handling is the process of managing runtime errors gracefully so the application does not crash. Spring Boot provides annotations like @exception_handler to handle errors properly. This improves application reliability and user experience. Real-life example. When a power cut happens, emergency lights turn on instead of complete darkness. Exception handling works the same way. It prevents sudden failure. Question No. 29. What is @controller advice? Answer. @controller advice is used to handle exceptions globally across all controllers. Instead of writing error handling code in every controller, we define it in one place. This keeps code clean and consistent. Real-life example. In a hospital, all emergencies are handled by a central emergency department, not by individual doctors. Question No. 30. What is Spring Boot security? Answer. Spring Boot security provides authentication and authorization features to protect applications. It ensures that only authorized users can access certain APIs or resources. It supports login, role-based access, and secure communication. Real-life example. A security guard checks your ID before allowing entry into a building. Only approved people are allowed inside. Question No. 31. What is authentication? Answer. Authentication is the process of verifying who the user is. In Spring Boot applications, authentication usually happens using username and password, tokens, or auth mechanisms. Before allowing access to the system, the application first confirms the user's identity. Real-life example. When you enter your ATM card and PIN, the bank checks whether you are the actual account holder. Only after verification does it allow you to proceed. Question No. 32. What is authorization? Answer. Authorization is the process of verifying what the user is allowed to do after authentication. It controls access to resources based on roles or permissions. A user may be authenticated but not authorized to access all features. Real-life example. In an office, all employees can enter the building, but only managers can access the finance room. Question No. 33. What is JWT? JSON Web Token. Answer. JWT is a compact, secure token used for stateless authentication. Once the user logs in successfully, the server generates a token and sends it to the client. For every request, the client sends this token instead of username and password. Real-life example. A movie ticket allows you to enter the theater multiple times without showing your ID again. Question No. 34. What is CORS? Answer. CORS stands for Cross-Origin Resource Sharing. It allows or restricts web applications from making requests to a different domain. CORS is important for security in web applications. Real-life example. You need special permission to enter a restricted area in another apartment complex. Aslan, Papat, India, Palwal complex. Papat Niastan, Pythrio, Sip Dagwal. Question No. 35. What is microservices architecture? Answer. Microservices architecture divides an application into small, independent services. Each service performs a specific function and communicates with others through APIs. This approach improves scalability and maintainability. Real-life example. A food court has different stalls for different dishes. Each stall works independently, but serves the same customers. Question No. 36. How does Spring Boot support microservices? Answer. Spring Boot supports microservices by providing easy REST API creation, embedded servers, and integration with Spring Cloud tools like Eureka and Config Server. It allows services to be developed and deployed independently. Real-life example. Courier services connect multiple cities using standard delivery routes. Each city operates independently, but follows the same system. Question No. 37. What is Eureka Server? Answer. Eureka Server is a service registry used in microservices architecture. Microservices register themselves with Eureka, so they can discover each other dynamically. Real-life example. A phone directory where people find contact numbers instead of memorizing them. Question No. 38. What is Config Server? Answer. Config Server provides centralized configuration management for microservices. It stores configuration properties in one place and shares them across services. Real-life example. A company policy document shared with all departments from a single source. Question No. 39. What is load balancing? Answer. Load balancing distributes incoming requests across multiple service instances. It improves performance and prevents system overload. Real-life example. Multiple toll booths reduce traffic congestion on highways. Question No. 40. What is Spring Boot testing? Answer. Spring Boot testing helps verify that the application works correctly. It uses tools like Junit and Mockito for unit and integration testing. Testing ensures reliability before deploying applications to production. Execution that. Understand. Real-life example. Quality checks done before a product is shipped to customers. Question No. 41. What is at Spring Bootist? Answer. At Spring Bootist is used for integration testing in Spring Boot. It loads the entire application context, including all beans, configurations, and properties. This annotation is used when we want to test how different layers of the application work together, not just individual methods. It is slower than unit tests, but gives higher confidence. Real-life example. Before a stage performance, actors do a full dress rehearsal, including lights, sound, and costumes. Similarly, at Spring Bootist checks the complete application setup before going live. Question No. 42. What are profiles in Spring Boot? Answer. Spring Boot profiles allow us to define different configurations for different environments, such as development, testing, and production. Each profile can have its own configuration file, like application.properties or application.properties. This helps avoid manual changes during deployment. Real-life example. You wear different clothes for summer, winter, and rainy seasons. You don't change yourself, only your outfit. Profiles work the same way for applications. Question No. 43. What is logging in Spring Boot? Answer. Logging is the process of recording application activities such as errors, warnings, and important events. Spring Boot supports logging frameworks like Logback and Log4 by default. Logs help developers debug issues and understand application behavior in production. Real-life example. CCTV cameras record everything happening in a building. If something goes wrong, you check the recordings. Logs act as CCTV for applications. Question No. 44. What is application? YAML. And how is it different from application properties? Answer. Application.yml is an alternative configuration file format to application properties. It supports hierarchical and structured configuration, making complex configurations easier to read. Both files do the same job. YAML is just more readable for large configurations. Real-life example. A neatly organized cupboard with shelves is easier to use than dumping all items in one box. YAML helps organize configurations clearly. Question No. 45. What is a fat jar or uber jar? Answer. A fat jar is a single executable jar file that contains application code, all dependencies, embedded server. This makes deployment simple and portable. Real-life example. A travel bag packed with clothes, toiletries, and documents, all in one place. You don't carry multiple bags. Question No. 46. How do you change the default server port in Spring Boot? Answer. The default port in Spring Boot is 8080. We can change it by adding server, port in application, properties, or application, YAML. This is useful when multiple applications are running on the same machine. Real-life example. If two houses have the same door number, it creates confusion. Changing the number helps identify the correct house. Question No. 47. What is Spring Boot CLI? Answer. Spring Boot CLI is a command line tool that allows developers to quickly create and run Spring Boot applications using Groovy scripts. It is mainly used for rapid prototyping and quick testing. Real-life example. Using keyboard shortcuts instead of clicking multiple menu options. It saves time for quick tasks. Question No. 48. What is @value annotation? Answer. @value is used to inject values from configuration files into Spring components. It helps avoid hard-coding values in the code. This makes applications flexible and easier to maintain. Real-life example. Reading the price from a price tag instead of guessing it. If the price changes, you update the tag, not the product. Question No. 49. What is H2 database? Answer. H2 is an in-memory database commonly used for development and testing. It is lightweight, fast, and does not require installation. Data is lost when the application stops, which is fine for testing purposes. Real-life example. A rough notebook used for practice work. Once done, you can discard it without concern. Question No. 50. What are the main advantages of Spring Boot? Answer. The main advantages of Spring Boot are faster development, minimal configuration, embedded servers, easy microservices support, production-ready features. It helps teams deliver applications quickly and reliably. Real-life example. A smartphone replaces multiple devices like camera, calculator, and music player. Spring Boot replaces complex setup with a single powerful framework. That brings us to the end of the top 50 Spring Boot interview questions and answers. If this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below if you want Spring Boot coding questions, real interview experiences, or microservices deep dives.